Hi, Karen Curry Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report. We are standing on the cusp of a brand new creative cycle in the year. We are finishing up the final days of the second creative quarter. The Human Design year is split into 4 quarters. Each quarter represents an aspect of the creative process. So our entire process of manifesting or creating is kind of laid out through the energies of the hexagrams and the way they work together throughout the course of the year. And as the sun transits through each of the hexagrams, it represents key energies that are essential to our creative process. The second quarter, the one we are leaving behind, the quarter of the template, that's what I like to call it, really highlights the sun moves through all of the gates in the throat center. So we are looking at the power of language. And over this last few months, we've been putting language to the ideas that we want, the ideas that we are seeking to manifest and create in the world. We've been translating divine inspiration into a personal narrative that becomes a template upon which we are ultimately going to be hanging, if you will, the accoutrements, the manifestations of the dreams we're holding. So we've been deep in this storytelling process, and this process kind of comes to an end this week. We have a little bit of a ooch into it as the earth still occupies the gate 13, which isn't really a throat gate, it's a G gate, but we have just the tail end this week of the theme of get your personal narrative in order. Tell the story about your life that you want to be living. It might not be what's real in your life right now, but this story that you're designed to tell, that's a part of your creative power, is the story that's got to be big enough to call you forward. So really take some time, if you haven't done it yet, even though I've been saying it every week, to really visit, especially tonight with this full moon in the gate 19, to really explore, what do you want for your life? Who are you? And what do you want to be creating in the world? And make sure that the language that you're using and the dream that you're cultivating and the words you're putting to that dream are powerful enough, big enough. And I find big enough is a big thing. Sometimes we get bored and we quit and we don't follow through on dreams that are too small. Dream big enough to create a story, a narrative that's going to call you forward, especially because you're going to need that in this next quarter. In this third quarter that we move into on Wednesday, the quarter of manifestation, the sun actually visits all the gates of the spleen center, plus a little bit of stuff going on in the sacral, which basically gives us the theme of gaining momentum, having energy and the power to create. But the creativity that we respond to, the manifestations we seek to bring into form in this quarter, come as a result of our devotion. They come as a result of not only our devotion to our self-expression and our authentic self, but also as a result of our intention and our desires and our devotion to each other. So we're looking at what's necessary for us to serve at our highest level, for us to innovate through holding a steadfast perspective and making the right commitments and being devoted to ourselves and to each other. We are exploring what we need to do to really take care of each other in an equitable, just, and sustainable way. Because all of the gates of the spleen are highlighted, what this does is it forces us to really have to look at, what are we afraid of? The story that you're telling has to be bigger than your fear. It has to be big enough for you to find the courage to move through the fear, to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, because it inspires you and it cracks your heart open and it gives direction to the life force that is you. It's tricky, though, this cycle. I don't like to throw the red flags on the play, but I do think we have to really explore this concept out loud and with words, because it's powerful. And if you don't navigate through this carefully, you can slide back into old patterns and habits. The gates of the spleen, which give us a trigger of fear, are instinctual. That fear is healthy and it has a place. If I was standing here and there was a moose or a bear behind me, the fear that I would be feeling would be splenic and it would cause me to react. It's good to have those kinds of fear signals under those kinds of circumstances, but when you are afraid to step into your power, when you are afraid to commit, when you are afraid to do the right thing because maybe it's not going to be popular, when those kinds of fears kick in, when you start to feel inadequate, or you feel afraid of the future, or you're afraid that the past is going to repeat itself, or you're afraid of failing your responsibility, or you're afraid of failing in general, or you're afraid that it's going to be too hard, or you're afraid that you'll never get it right. These kinds of fears are existential fears and kind of unique to being a human. And we are invited in this quarter to really look at those places where we stop ourselves short from moving into that big story that we just crafted, that big personal narrative, those words we just put to our dreams. We have to look at these fears. We have to understand them. We have to move through them, which oftentimes means we really do have to literally feel the fear and do it anyway. And we have to be really careful because you want to look at it, but you don't want to reabsorb it back into your old story. You run the risk when you explore these fears, if you start to identify with them, of re-triggering yourself, re-anchoring yourself back in that old story you just rewrote. So you got to have this way. You have to have a story that's big enough. You got to have something big enough to commit to and be devoted to, a story that's going to encompass your willingness, it's going to comprise your willingness to push through that fear, and it's going to be big enough to keep your mojo going even when you're quaking in your boots. So that's kind of the challenge that we have in front of us this quarter on a personal level. Collectively, I think we have a lot of potential for us to really continue to discuss what do we need to do to make things better. And because some very primal energies have the potential to get activated this cycle, primal energies that make us worried about things like food and shelter and money and safety and peace, if we're not really exploring those places where we stop ourselves from doing the right thing and we're not trusting and having faith and having a big enough vision, it is potentially dangerous for us to get into some reactive and even maybe, not so peaceful energies. So you owe it to yourself, and certainly you owe it to the world, I believe anyway, to do your best to look at where are you holding yourself back, because the more you can move yourself forward, the more you have something big enough to call you forward, the more you not only pull yourself forward, you gain the ability to pull other people forward with you. The sun starts out this week in the gate 33. That's the gate of retelling, moving to the gate 7, the gate of collaboration. We're exploring in our personal narrative how we can support each other, how we can come together and share and influence each other in a powerful and positive way. The earth starts the week in the gate 19. Boy, am I having problems with lighting today or what? The gate starts in the gate 19, moving to the gate 13, which is another part of a personal narrative story. So again, we're sensitive, we're dialed into each other, we feel each other, we're listening to each other's stories. When we hear each other, we're able to take really strong and good leadership towards doing what's right, towards being equitable, just, and sharing. But to do that, we have to listen. We're grounded in our connection with each other. And from that connection, we actually gain the ability to influence not only our own story and our own momentum in our own life, but the story and the momentum in the lives of each other. Our nodes shift this week. The nodes shift into the gate 12, the gate of the channel, and the gate 11, the gate of the conceptualist. So this new nodal theme, the nodal theme sets sort of the plot outline of the story that we're living, or the plot outline of our evolution. We're really looking at and receiving tons of information and inspiration. Carry a notebook with you because you're going to get a lot of ideas in the next couple of months, and they might not all be for you. Think of yourself as being sort of a sacred steward for divine inspiration, and our jobs collectively is to gather up all the ideas that we experience, to hold them in a book or in a place somewhere where we can take care of them and nurture them and love them and be kind to those ideas. And then if they're your ideas to manifest, you'll get the signal in whatever way is right for you by human design to really manifest those ideas. And if that idea belongs to someone else, then you'll have it ready to give it to them so that they can do what they came here to do. That's really it this week. I want you to pay attention this week. Finish up. This is your homework for this week. Same homework as last week. Finish up your story. Finish up writing your personal narrative so that you are really standing strong in a story that is worthy of who you are, that allows you to call yourself forward and start thinking about what are you going to do to manage your fear? What are some things you can do to explore? If you push through the fear, are you going to be okay? Odds are you will. Odds are you will. So think about what you need to do in this next cycle to cultivate the courage to do the right thing and cultivate the courage to start living into that bigger, better story. Don't keep yourself small. Don't play small. It's not healthy. It's not good. It's not fun. It's not joyful. It keeps you stuck in tiny boxes, terrified of things like dirt and dog hair. Go have fun. Go be joyful. Go get messy. Go try things out and learn from all the experiences that you have and live in that bigger story that is more worthy of who you are. Have a great week. Be well. Take care.